In version 3.1 of Splatoon 3, both Reef Slider and Ultrastamp, which are the two special weapons that I primarily use, received some pretty substantial buffs. If you guys remember, these two specials were so bad before that I made dedicated montages showing off just how much they sucked. But now, after having some time to try out both of these a decent amount after the patch, I wanted to make a video going in depth as to what exactly was changed about these specials, as well as what these changes can allow you to do now. We'll also answer the burning question: do these specials still suck? If you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this, please give it a like and consider subscribing. First, we're going to talk about Reef Slider, which is the special that you mainly see me use on this channel. Before the patch, Reef Slider was extremely weak, often not being able to damage people who seemed like they were right beside you, and also not having a high enough damage output to finish off already weakened opponents. Thankfully, both of these issues have been addressed. Reef Slider will now inflict 70 damage with a partial hit, rather than 60 damage like it was before. Not only does this allow its partial hit to combo with things like the splatter shot and bombs now, but it also allows it to do the infamous torpedo roll combo with the Dapple Dooley's Nouveau. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a quick demonstration. If you inflict partial damage to an opponent with Reef Slider, quickly roll a torpedo at their feet as soon as you can. A partial hit from a torpedo does 35 damage, so now that Reef Slider's partial damage is 70, this will be enough to finish off the weakened opponent. Now, it is worth noting that pulling this combo off is a little harder than it was in Splatoon 2 with Splashdown, because Reef Slider has so much end lag that the odds of you dying before you can even roll a torpedo is pretty high. But hey, the fact that the combo is possible now is a huge win in itself. Reef Slider's partial damage radius was also increased, so it's easier to inflict 70 damage on people who are farther away from you. Before the patch, it was very common for weak opponents to just not take any damage from your Reef Slider blast at all, because its radius was so tiny. But now, I can comfortably say that this happens a lot less frequently. If an opponent is weak and I pop a Reef Slider near them, they'll tend to die more often than not. And if all that wasn't enough, the special actually received one more significant buff. The explosion's painting radius was also increased by roughly 21%, which is really nice. I'd say the scenario where this helps out the most is on certain Splat Zones maps, because this makes capping the zone even easier than it was before. Overall, Reef Slider definitely feels like a much better special now, at least to me. It's certainly not top tier now or anything, but a lot of its major weaknesses have finally been taken care of. You do still die a lot before and after using it if you're not careful, and I still think the explosion should destroy all bombs within your radius, like Splashdown did in Splatoon 2. But hey, before these buffs, Reef Slider was a candidate for the worst special in Splatoon 3. Now I'm happy to say that I don't think this is the case. Alright, now we're moving on to Ultrastamp. If you thought Reef Slider got some good buffs this patch, wait till you hear about Ultrastamp. Splatana Wiper mains, you won this patch. I truly believed that Ultrastamp was the bottom of the barrel when it came to specials in this game. This thing had poor damage, it was slow, it was hard to maneuver with, and most importantly, it was just a glitchy, buggy mess. But now, I feel like Ultrastamp has taken almost a complete 180 with its viability. The most important change this thing got was an increase to its stamp attack radius. In other words, when you're using the normal rush mode, it's a lot easier to damage opponents with it. And I'm not just saying that, because oh boy, you feel the difference with this thing. I can actually kill people consistently now, let alone more frequently. However, this isn't the only massive buff it received. It now also turns way better, which addresses that maneuverability issue I mentioned before. And while the patch notes didn't specifically say how much the turning was improved by, it feels like double. Seriously, you can turn so much easier now, which allows you to hug corners more tightly, which in my opinion is the best way to use the rush mode. It did receive one more buff, which is that your hammer is now translucent when using the rush mode, which makes it easier to see what's going on around you. While this is a fantastic change that makes the special more accessible for everyone, I won't lie, I haven't really noticed it very much, but I think it's just a thing where I'm not really thinking about it while I'm using it, and it actually is helping me out quite a bit. To summarize Ultrastamp though, This thing won. I definitely think this special is better than Reef Slider now, and while I'm not going to call it top tier, I do think it's around high tier now. I'm serious guys, I'm not just being dramatic to make the video entertaining. I kill so much with it now. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not saying it doesn't have any problems now. You still die a lot while using it, because its defense hasn't been addressed. It's still very easy to get shot at through your hammer, which is a big issue. But the other buffs it got do make that happen a lot less, so I can't complain too much. One last thing I want to say for both of these specials is that while the buffs they received are great, it doesn't make it so that you can just pop these whenever you want and get a guaranteed kill out of it. Just like before the patch, you need to be smart with these. If you just try to rush in head on with them, it's probably not going to work out well for you. Try to take advantage of enemies in poor positions or enemies who are focused on something else. That's where these specials thrive if you ask me.